Chapter 4. So Many Questions. It was a tight fit. The guards sandwiched Sam into the lift. A steer-sized hoof crushed his toes. "Sorry." Sam barely noticed. His head was spinning. What the actual hell had just happened? Thankfully, the door opened straight away, and Sam hobbled onto the deep vermilion carpet of a windowed hall. Opposite the lift, a round table and chairs nestled beside an imposing set of double doors with well-polished brass handles. The lift closed, leaving Sam with a guard who motioned for the boy to take a seat, then knocked on the doors before entering. Sam spied a bowl of toffees and helped himself to a crinkly wrapper, feeling grateful for the sugar hit as he walked over to the closest window, curious to see what level of the archive they had reached. The view left him confused. It was one of rolling hills and grass seas. A wide river wound sluggishly through them from distant snow-capped peaks, and a herd of horses traversed the prairie. When he leaned closer, Sam could even feel the sun radiating through the glass. This wasn't St. James's Park. What the... A deep rumble caused him to turn to the opposite window, through which ruffled palms and honey sands held white-crested waves at bay. Sam touched the pane. It was damp from the spray. In the distance, dark clouds drew closer to the beach. Lightning tore across the nebulous horizon, followed by another growl of thunder, and the toffee bowl rattled skittishly. Sam took a step back, unable to wrap any understanding around where he might be. It couldn't be London, and definitely wasn't underground. The herd was now close enough to make out the prancing antics of the foals. The grand doors opened, and Sam jumped. There was a crunch when the guards stepped on the wrapper. "Been at the toffees, have we? Come on then, sweet tooth." A second thunderclap caused the guard to wrinkle his nose. "So much for surfing after work." "Sam!" Jasper rushed over, patting his son's chest and stomach. I'm fine, Dad," he said, pushing the hands away. "Of course you are, my boy," declared a tall, silhouetted figure, standing before a long window spanning a large room. "Have you ever seen a ghost cat, Samuel? Panthera unica, the snow leopard. A truly magnificent creature." He turned to face them. The man's eyes were piercing, and his cheeks bore the ruddy glow of a frosty morning. "Come, see for yourself." Sam looked to his father, who nodded. He felt the chill before he saw the snow, his breath steaming when he drew near the window. The landscape beyond lay in deepest winter. Icy tendrils and heavy drifts rested against the glass. There. The man pointed towards the far end of a clearing. Sam squinted against the glare, but could see nothing among the rocks and ice. Then he caught sight of the ghostly predator. The snow leopard's long tail swayed as it padded across the crisp ground a few meters from them. Its chest was white, but the rest of its fur was a mottled, smoky grey to tan, with dark rosettes adorning it from head to tail. "Magnificent," the man sighed, "though soon it will be extinct." They watched the creature stalk the clearing, sniff the air, and disappear behind a tree, oblivious to its audience. "Where are we?" Sam blurted. This was all too much for him to take in. "How are there windows of different places in the same room? Are they real or electronic? And how are they hot and cold or wet?" He faltered. "Sammy, so many questions. But first, introductions. I'm Salvador D'Angelo, your father's supervisor." "Just Sam," he corrected. Never Sammy. He rubbed the scars on his forearm, suppressing memories of the only person aside from the twins to call him that. Introductions were all very well, but no one had answered his questions. Their host plucked the stopper from a decanter. "That'll be all for now, Owen. Salvador informed the guard waiting by the door as he filled a tulip-shaped glass. "Cognac, Jasper?" The bottle hovered over a second glass. "No, thank you." He gave Sam a sly look. "How about you?" A Coke if you have one, please." "With a drop of the good stuff? For the shock?" "Just the Coke, thank you." Jasper headed off any temptation. Sam paused to marvel at Mr. D'Angelo's office, which resembled a well-loved study. Deep, comfortable chairs, a dark wooden desk, and multiple shelves that strained under the weight of books and ornaments of every shape, size, and cultural persuasion. The remaining walls were draped in maps and paintings. He turned to study its architect. Salvador D'Angelo was a tall man, straight of back and broad shoulders. His dark hair was neatly cropped, with a smattering of grey dotting his temples. He was not wearing glasses, although Sam saw some balanced upon the mass of papers strewn across the desk. One of them, he noticed, was an open scroll. He leaned in curiously. Upon the faded parchment, he could make out a careful rendering of a temple with a subterranean chamber. Runes and strange markings decorated the drawing. Mr. D'Angelo casually rolled the scroll closed as he picked up his glasses. "Persephone, what time is it, please?" "Which time zone, sir?" "London." 4:45. Sam looked around. He spied a shiny silver-blue teardrop torso hovering behind a lamp. "How rude of me." Salvador apologized. "That's Persephone, my CA." Sam tried not to look blank. "Cybernetic assistant. A descendant, if you will, of Farnsworth's curator model, whom I believe you met earlier. Now with a few improvements." The robot's nimbus brightened at the praise. "Right then. The windows." He swirled his glass. "They're called far-sight windows. Think of them as very powerful telescopes that allow you not only to see, but experience every sensation of your chosen vista from the safety and convenience of—" He spread his arms showman-like, the slosh of cognac escaping. "Your own home. Far more impressive than a television, you must agree." Sam nodded. "Now, tell me all about your afternoon. I hear you had some fun and games on level 16. 273, Sam corrected. Salvador's smile never quite reached his grey eyes as he looked at the boy. "There is no level 273. "Well, that's what he said." Sam's voice broke at the memory of the attack, of the searing light and suffocating pain. "He? Who is he? We didn't get around to introductions. It was the man who disappeared. He said we were on level 273. Mr. D'Angelo said nothing. "And the guard," Sam continued. It would be hard to forget the twisted body on the blood-stained floor. Another memory to bury. "Harold? Oh, he slipped on the stairs and dropped his soup. Out cold when your father found him. I just don't understand why people can't use the canteen, after all the money I've spent on it," Salvador muttered. Sam knew he was being fobbed off. Mr. D'Angelo had too quick an answer for everything. "Now, if you don't mind, young man, I'd like a quick word with your father. You can wait for him outside." "You're not going to fire him?" Mr. D'Angelo laughed. "Heavens, no. Persephone, why don't you change the windows in the lobby? Show young Sam Tokyo at night." The robot glided forward. "Certainly, sir. May I also suggest the Easter Islands? It will be sunrise there soon." "Splendid." Mr. D'Angelo extended his hand. "A pleasure to meet you, Sam, and I'm sorry if we caused you any alarm. I hear you've an exciting evening planned, so I won't keep you any longer," and ushered him to the hall. "I'm so sorry," Jasper began when Salvador had closed the door, but he was waved to silence. "How were you to know we'd have saboteurs running around today?" Salvador sat down and began picking at the worn leather chair. "Bloody harbinger. I thought we were past all this. What does the boy know?" "Sam? About us? Nothing. After what happened in Zimbabwe, we've tried to let him enjoy his childhood. I know other parents drip-feed the truth to their children, but, well, he's been through enough already. Salvador swirled the brandy. I may have a solution to that. Bring Sam to the college at the end of his school term. What? Why? The council has been debating a new project for some time, an apprenticeship of sorts. It may prove the perfect introduction for your son. We're becoming too reliant upon the gadgets and gizmos. Need to start training younger students in the old ways. Go back to basics. The boy seems bright, athletic, and certainly showed some stomach today. He could be a perfect candidate to help shake things up. Jasper spluttered. It was more like dumb luck. He's barely 15. I was 19 when I went through my induction, and I scarcely coped. What about his regular schooling? This will only last for the summer, and it's nothing like a full induction. It's important to assess their skills early. We're not all cut out to be paladins. But he may be. Salvador managed to hide his smile as he saw Jasper flinch. Vanity was his favourite sin. Jasper paused. You think that he has potential? Who knows? But if today's anything to go by... Jasper chewed his lip, childhood dreams of fame and glory rising with narcotic charm. Then it's settled. But in the meantime, we need to find out what our guests were up to, and if anything was taken. Keep me posted. Heat. Oppressive, burning heat. Sam rolled over, away from it, screaming. Someone was shouting his name. A disturbance sent to interrupt his pleasant dream. Smoke, caustic fumes filling his lungs, choking him. Sam coughed, and his eyes shot open. Sammy! His twin sister was shaking him, her eyes wide. Soph? He coughed again. What's wrong? What's going on? I don't know, she cried. I heard everybody shouting. Everything's burning. Sammy, I'm scared. Sooty tears were streaming down her face. There was smoke everywhere, sliding under the door, puffing past the ill-fitting window frame, even seeping through the thatched roof. Sam felt sick. He remembered the burnt colour of the African sky the day before. Dark, angry clouds that smothered the horizon. His father had assured them they were safe, that the research station was of no interest to the rebels, yet most of the labourers had left days ago, carrying everything they could manage. There was more shouting, harsh voices. His mother was screaming their names. Sam grabbed his sister, pulling the blankets from their bed and draping one over her. Soph, we need to get out. Put your hand over your mouth and stay under the blanket. He wrapped a blanket around himself before giving the door a tug. The handle was hot, and he snatched his hand back, cursing. He tried again using the corner of the blanket. Behind him, Sophie's sobs grew louder. A wall of heat from the corridor burst in. Come on! He shielded his sister, heading for their parents' bedroom. Mummy! He shouted, 5 years old and so very frightened. Daddy! There was an awful splitting sound as the roof gave way. Sam pulled Sophie past, propelling her towards safety. A beam fell between them, spewing molten thatch. Sophie! He screamed, losing sight of her. Quick! Open their door! Get inside! Sammy! Her voice was desperate, scared and alone. They had never been apart. They'd shared a womb and everything since. He leapt forward, swatting the pyre. Strong arms swept him up and away from the flames. Come! We need to get out! The man's voice was muffled, a wet rag over his mouth. No! Sam writhed, kicking free, clawing at the smoking wreckage, separating him from the other half of his heart. The blanket caught, and a fresh crest of flames devoured his arm. Sam screamed. The man found him again, relentless, pulling him back. "Sammy!" He heard his sister's voice for the last time. "Don't leave me!" Sam sat up in bed, drenched in sweat, heart pounding. There was no smoke, no fire, only the most bitter of memories. His head hurt. Usually it was just his heart. His tongue had died and begun rotting in his mouth. "I hate you, beer," he cursed. Bleary-eyed, he squinted at the clock. It was a little after 3. He flopped back, whimpering. The movie premiere had been a welcome distraction, as had Sam's first adventure into alcohol, but he had predictably overdone it. "There's no way." His mother's voice drifted up the stairs. "I don't care. He's only 14. 15. Both he and his father retorted from different rooms. "Only just. And I want to know more. An apprenticeship, is it? You can't just throw him in at the deep end. Do you even remember your induction?" There was a sullen silence. "It's just for the summer. D'Angelo has said that he has paladin potential." His mother swore. "Are you honestly that gullible? You're allowing your own childhood fantasies to obscure the fact that you're talking about putting our son through an ordeal that most adult candidates struggle with. Even if it is a watered-down version, I'm not having it, Jasper." A door slammed, and their voices became incomprehensible. Sam knew he should be curious, and probably even concerned about what he'd just heard. But his gut was still bubbling, like a volcano, and it took all his concentration not to vomit. He needed water, but couldn't move. He shut his eyes to stop the room from spinning. A voice drifted into his head as another smoke-infested bout of sleep rose to claim him. Still, dead men and all that. Goodbye.